presented by Hyundai. Let's head to the NBA, where LeBron James won his 4th title just a few days ago. The King is inching closer to Michael Jordan, who has 6 trophies on his resume. LeBron is already in the GOAT conversation, but he had this to say about the ongoing debate. Quote, "The debates can happen. Y'all can talk about it. I'll talk about it with my guys when we're at home, our friends and all that stuff. But I'm not going to give it to y'all. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to fall for it. You guys know how much I love Michael Jordan. I wear the number 23 because of Michael Jordan. When I first got my first pair of Jordans, you couldn't tell me nothing. Nah, acho. Can LeBron get 6 titles before he retires? Oh!
Marcellus, I hate your LeBron voice.
Why do you hate my voice?
It's not that deep. LeBron's voice isn't that deep.
It's not that high.
It's not, no, it's not. Okay, I'm still maturing.
Okay. Youngster. Man.
I hope LeBron catches Jordan.
Oh, no, we ain't getting paid on no hope. What you got? Did you prepare for this? You used it all up on Adam Gates. Prepare for this topic.
Okay, bro. Let me say it with my chest.
Okay.
LeBron James can and will catch.
Can and will?
He can and he will. He'll catch 6 titles and he'll catch Jordan. He's going to have to go to 3. Because he's not going to win them all. What we know about LeBron is he can get there. We also know about LeBron is he ain't going to get them all. I'm a LeBron fan, I'm a LeBron stan, and I'm also a realist. That's not going to happen. I think he'll get 2 out of 3. How I see it playing out is very simple. They go again next year, they win again next year. I think they go back-to-back. I don't think they go the following year. So LeBron is going to have to get him one at age 38. 3 years from now. He's going to get 2 more. He's going to go 3 more times, but he has to get him one, not necessarily that following year. He's not going to three-peat. We've seen a three-peat in modern history 3 times. Jordan, Kobe, Shaq. I don't think we see it again. League is too stacked. What I do think we see is LeBron stealing 1 more with AD and then making something shake. Here's why I think this can happen. I look at history, and I look at Kareem. Kareem at one point in time averaged 35 points in a season. At one point in time, Kareem averaged 17 boards in a season. But when he got his last one, 1988, at the age of 40, he only averaged 14 and 7. Why? Because he had Magic. Now, Magic didn't win the MVP that season, but he had won the MVP 3 times in a 4-year span. AD is going to get into that role of being the leader. But who else did Kareem have? They had Worthy. They had Byron Scott. They had other dogs. Here's my point. AD and LeBron need to steal 1 more this coming season. I say steal because it's going to be like that. You got to be like a thief in the night. Okay, Warriors, don't see me. Okay, Nets, don't see me. I'm just going to come in and get it. But then I think they're going to have to find that 3rd piece, like Tim Duncan, 2014, had Kawhi. Tim Duncan was old by then. Tim Duncan averaged 15 and 9. By Tim Duncan standards, he was falling off. Tim Duncan usually averaged about 23 and 11. He was old by then, but they had another piece, a young budding star in Kawhi, who they actually leveraged George Hill for. I think Kuzma's that piece you're going to have to leverage eventually. But I do think LeBron can catch Jordan. I think he gets 2 out of 3.
I think he definitely catches Michael Jordan, not to even fence ride. And I know people are like, what? You giving the Lakers props? Damn right, because I'm always going to tell the truth. And in this situation, I'm projecting LeBron James plays at this level till the age of 40, minimum. This age, you know why? And it's partly what you said. And I think in those 5 years, 4 or 5 years, he's going to get 2. And the reason is the switcheroo is already in effect. In terms of transition of power.
Yep, that's good.
AD led LeBron in all categories except what? Assists. And so basically LeBron like, yeah, let me lead the one that gives you all of the other categories to beat me in. The switcheroo's in effect. This is going to be the first time in LeBron James's career, in his wizard years as MJ had, where he's going to actually defer and pick his spots. You talked about it yesterday. How does LeBron James load manage? He does it with pace. He does it with distance from shooting. He doesn't do it in like, I'm going to tap out the game. He just, also they had a metric where they showed he was the slowest competitor in the playoffs 2 years ago. So this is a guy who knows how to manage it upstairs. But what's going to happen in those next 4 or 5 years, in those 2 championships, that transition of power. AD becomes Batman. Now you have LeBron James as Robin riding that. And why do I know this is actually in effect beyond the counting numbers? Psychologically, LeBron is already talking different. LeBron James won the 2016 championship, down 3-1 against the Warriors, couldn't wait to find someone to say, I think I'm the greatest of all time. I'm the GOAT. LeBron James wins this NBA championship. What does he say right after it? Oh, you know what? I'm not even going to have that conversation. Wait a minute. You brought the conversation up last time you were in this position. Now you don't want to have it. You know why? Because the transition of power is in effect, and he wants us to make the argument for him because he already knows he's in it. Let's bring in somebody who can say a thing or two about the NBA, our Fox NBA analyst, Slick Rick the Bucher. Slick Rick, can LeBron get 6 titles before he retires?
Can he? Yes. Is it possible? Yes. It's also possible, Marcellus, that your hair could come back or that I could actually compete with Acho when it comes to a suit game. But is it likely? Is it realistic? Is it something that is realistic enough for us to talk about? No, it's not.
Wow.
Come on, guys.
Wow.
You gave all the evidence necessary to say why this isn't realistic, especially you, Acho. You were making such a great case, and then you go, that's why I think it's going to happen. I'm like, well, here's the reality. We're asking, and this is what I do appreciate, Acho, is that you pointed out, like, it's not going to be a three-peat, all right? That's because we've never seen that. But we've also never seen him win 3 championships in 4 years. Not even in his prime was he able to do that. And now you're suggesting that he's going to be able to do that at this late age. I understand where you guys are at. We're all in the glow of what LeBron just did and what the Lakers just did. But I can't ignore the fact that, number one, it was so unlikely, and they were unusual circumstances. And you talk about stealing championships, and while I will not diminish what they did, it does feel like they stole this one because the circumstances changed and they adjusted best to them. Can I expect that that is going to happen again 2 more times? No, I realistically can't. And by the way, we're talking about like trading out additional pieces in order to bolster the crew around him. You're also assuming Anthony Davis, who has demonstrated a, let's say, inability to stay healthy on a regular basis, is suddenly going to drink from the same fountain of youth. I'm not sure that I can count on any of those things. So as much as I love to be an optimist and say, yes, anything is possible, I just look at this and I feel as if this is just a sneaky way to pull back into the GOAT conversation and suggest that there's a possibility that LeBron can indeed surpass Michael Jordan.
Slick, let me say why I disagree with you, because you have argued that that LeBron couldn't even accomplish certain feats in his prime. Who's to say that LeBron is not in his prime? Because if you're looking at it in a lazy approach or the low-hanging fruit, I won't call you lazy, Slick, I respect you too much. If you're looking at it simply saying his athletic prime, which based on a human anatomy is for males is 26, then sure, you could argue that LeBron is out of his prime. But if you're taking in all accounts of what makes a great athlete, if you're talking about the physical, if you're talking about the mental, if you're talking about the psychological, then I would argue and bump what I say. LeBron said it himself that this LeBron would dominate 27-year-old LeBron. LeBron said that to Rachel Nichols immediately after the game. Rondo said yesterday, the discipline, the work he puts in daily, his regimen and how much he invests in his body, he has arguably the best trainer of all time. So, Slick, if we make the assumption, the wrong assumption, that LeBron is past his prime, then sure, I could concede to you, I could concede defeat. But if just maybe LeBron is actually in his overall prime of basketball player, not how high he can jump, not how fast he can run, not how strong he can dunk, but if he's in his overall prime, then who's to say he can't actually do this?
The late Kobe Bryant would say that, because who was more disciplined? Who was able to execute even when his athleticism started to go? It was Kobe Bryant. And when did that suddenly dramatically turn? When he went from 35 to 36.
But Slick, he got hurt.
Right on the precipice that we see LeBron James right now.
He got hurt, though, Slick. That's the difference. If LeBron would have got hurt again this year, I would be like, you know what, Slick, you're right. But Kobe, was it not the elbow first, and then the Achilles, and then the shoulder?
It was a variety of things.
Everything.
But here's the thing. But you can't separate that from the fact that he played so much in the NBA and was at a certain age where he started to break down.
Fair.
So I just look at that. But here's ultimately the other part is you guys have incorrectly stated there's going to be a transition of power. And why are we having this conversation? Because we're talking about, can he surpass Jordan? That was what Kobe wanted to do. And he got close, and then his body broke down, and he couldn't get there. But you're suggesting that Anthony Davis is going to take the mantle, and thereby LeBron is going to pick up a couple more championships. Well, then the dynamic has changed, because the one thing we can say about Michael Jordan on all 6 championship teams is that he was the best player on that team. The reason we don't talk about Kareem is because for his 6 championships, he was the only finals MVP twice. So I agree with you in that LeBron could conceivably win 6 championships. Will he win 6 championships as the best player on the team? That's where you lose me.
Well, he has me, and I'm going to go out there and say a 27-year-old AD is not even close to exiting his prime, and working with LeBron James will allow him to prolong whatever that prime looks like. And I'll talk about prime in a second. But let's look at LeBron James in terms of why this transition of power with AD is going to work better than anybody else. Because you got to remember when 07, LeBron didn't even have a dynamic duo. So that championship, let's throw it out. Then when he gets to Miami, despite the championship parade and them having all of the fun and festivities, Dwayne Wade, as soon as he met LeBron James, started his decline from hello. And he started to decline to a point where after 4 years and that loss, the last one to the San Antonio Spurs, LeBron looked over back at home in Cleveland and said, Kyrie Irving's there. He's a younger Dwayne Wade, and he ain't declining. So you know what? Let me go over there. Now you got you a duo. Then you bring Kevin Love, thinking you got a big 3. But then injuries started to happen. Kyrie Irving missing the finals, basically. And then the bickering and the fight for power and credit, all of that. But now you got AD and LeBron. And this is a smooth transition in terms of transition of power. And that's why I think it's going to work. One, because LeBron is not out of his prime yet. Acho talked about it. Howie Long broke this down a long time ago, and I love Howie Long for breaking this down. He said, when you start your career, there are 2 elevators. One's at the top, which is your physical one, and one's at the bottom, which is your mental one. And then they're doing this your entire career. Because physically, you're not going to get that much better. If better at all, then you start to get to this place where, boom, that is your prime. Mentally and physically, you are in the same place. What does that mean? Physically, you're still capable to run, jump, do all the things you can with your athletic ability. But mentally, everything is slowed down. You have such clarity. You are a coach on the court yourself. And that's where LeBron James still is. And AD is now being introduced to that formula. Those 2 together, man, I don't see this ending anytime soon. Coming up, Russell Wilson is putting everyone on notice that he wants to be named MVP. We'll tell you if he's too concerned about the hardware next. Speak for yourself. Presented by